I tried every accessories for dips so you don't have to, and I'm going to rank every exercise and explain you why you should train them. So the first accessory exercise that you have is the close grip bench press, the decline bench press, or the bench press. All of them, you just don't need that.
Stop it.
So I don't going to go on the details, it's just not specific for the dip. It's just going to sore you. You're just going to get more sore. You have more CNS fatigue. You need to learn another exercise. You just lose your time or get even worse. So this is just going to get very shitty. And of course, if you don't train dips for 1 year, but instead you do bench press, then because you use similar muscle, you're gonna still get stronger on the dip, but it's just better to do the dip instead. So if the accessory exercise is not better than doing only dip, then the accessory exercise is not even worth it, because it's better to do 5 sets of dips than doing 3 sets of dips and 2 sets of decline bench press. So you know that every accessory exercise that are some bench press, some dumbbell bench press, it's just stupid, so stop wasting your time by doing this. Also, the weighted push-up that you can do like on the ring that some people do, that can be fun, but it's also a waste of time. And in this video, I'm going to explain all the accessory that can help to learn the technique, the weakness-based accessory exercise if you weak on a specific part on the dip, so if you're weak at the top or if you're weak at the bottom, the transition, and also the accessory for more hypertrophy and to add volume. So all the accessory exercise for bench that I explained before, there isn't in these 3 categories. It's not a weakness-based exercise. This doesn't help add more volume. This doesn't help to learn the technique. So this is just the worst accessory that you can do for the dip. So first, the accessory that you need to learn the technique. So even if you have like 60 kg dips, you still need to learn the technique, because it's like on this exercise, if you don't train them for 2 weeks, then after you lose a little the technique. It's like the muscle up that you need to do a lot of frequency to learn the technique. On the dips, there is still some technique. And you can do ring dips, tempo dips, and pause dips. So first, the ring dips. So the ring dips train a lot the instability. So if I can do like 5 reps with 60 kg very easy, on the ring dips, I do 5 reps with like 12 kg, and I'm struggling with the form. And what is very good with the ring dips is that when you go on the ring, you are shaking like this, and it is very good because on the dips sometimes when you want to do a big PR and you don't have exactly the perfect technique, and let's say you control the plate with your legs, but then it slips a little, or maybe you just are shaking with, maybe sometimes the dip bar is not stable, and the ring dips will help you to just not fall, and it is a very good accessory exercise. But the big problem is that you need to buy rings, and if you want to do ring dips in the gym, you take a lot of place. I do that. It's take a lot of time. So if you don't want to do that, you can do tempo dips. So tempo dips is, let's say you, instead of going down very quickly, you wait 2 seconds, so you do 2, 1, and then 2, and then go up. And because you are not going very quick, and because you are just slow, you learn the technique. So a lot of people, when they do, like, let's say 10 RM, so they do their PA on 10 reps, their first rep is a little too they are lower than 90 degrees, and then it's no rep, and then it's too low, and it's just not the same rep. So the tempo dips help you to have exactly the same technique on every rep, and you just, because if you go lower than 90 degrees, or if you go too low, then you lose energy, and then if you go not too low, you are too high, then it's no rep. So doing temporal dips in, like, as a back off in low RPE, it's very good to learn the technique. You also can do paused dips. So paused dip is something I did for a long time, and it's helped to know to have the good depth, so don't go too low or too high, and it can also train the bottom part. So if you weak at the bottom, so it's also a weakness accessory exercise at the same time, because you are trying specifically the bottom part. Then we have the weakness based accessory exercise. So we have the bend dips, the pause dips, and the one bottom, one normal dips. So bend dips is just a dips with an elastic. So it makes the top harder, and you train more the triceps, and this can help if you fail a lot of time at the top on the dip. So a lot of people, they can do just band dip as a back off, or what I do is I do banded dips on my tertiary dip. So if you watch the video about workout split, you should know there is like your primary, like your hard session dips, and your easy session, your tertiary session. And on the easy session, you can do these banded dips and try to make the top part harder. So when you do the dip at the bottom, it's like RPO 5, and at the top it's like RPO 8. So you are not very sore on your chest and shoulder, but your triceps is more sore. But it's not a problem, because the triceps, the arm can recover faster than the chest. So you can easily like do RPE 8 of 10 and in your tertiary dip session, and then recover in only one day. And that's why I do a lot of accessory exercise in the tertiary session. So the same for, so I do banded dips on my easy session, because my triceps is more sore, but they can recover, but my chest will take more time to recover if I train them RPE 8. And if I have like tertiary dip, and then the next day primary pull-up, if my chest is sore, then my pull-up will get weak, because on pull-up and muscle-up you use a little your lower chest, and that's why I do bended dips on my easy session. Paused dips is also a weakness-based exercise, because when you pause at the bottom, you make the bottom part stronger. So a lot of people, they do dips, they go down very quick, too quick, and then they struggle to go up. So if you make a pause at the bottom, you will now learn to control the plate before doing the transition. So if you go down too quick, and then you try to go up with a big weight, if you want to do a 1 RM, then it's gonna be hard. So it is good to do paused dips, and because it is not just an accessory exercise to learn the technique, but also to get stronger at the bottom, or an other exercise to get stronger at the bottom is one bottom, one normal. One bottom, one normal is when you go and you do a dips, you go down, then you go a little up, but it's not rep. So you do just half of the rep, then you go down, and then you go up until it's a rep. And what's very great with that is that it's very specific to the dip. So what you want to an accessory is that the accessory should be the more specific possible. So when you do banded dips, the movement is a little bit different because there is the elastic band there is on you, and it's not exactly the same mechanic tension because it's harder on the top. But when you do one bottom, one normal, you do exactly the dip. Like you just do you train 2 times the bottom, so it's harder on the bottom, but it's exactly the same movement. So this exercise is very specific, and that's why this is very good. So the last accessory that you need is the accessory for the hypertrophy or the volume. So why would you need to add hypertrophy as an accessory? It's because when you train for strength, if you want to get strong in dips, you need to have muscle and the CNS adaptation. And when you do, let's say, 3 times 10, it's more hypertrophy. When it's 3 times 3, it's more strength. But even when you do 3 times 10 for the hypertrophy, if it's to failure, 3 times 10 to failure, it's still gonna exhaust your CNS. So if you do 10 reps to failure, your central nervous system will still be exhausted and you will have less energy. So if you do like 3 times 10 to failure on the dips, and then the next day you have, let's say, squat, even if you are not sore on the leg, your CNS is exhausted, so this just makes you weaker for the other exercise that you do, and that's why you want to minimize the CNS fatigue. You don't want to get too exhausted, but on the other hand, to have hypertrophy, you need to go to failure on 10 reps. And that's why there is some people that do skull crusher as an accessory to have more hypertrophy. And because it's an isolation, it's not a compound lift, it doesn't exhaust your CNS if you go to failure. So on the dip, if you go to failure, then you go lower than 90 degrees. If you fail on the dip, it's gonna stretch your chest. You have a risk of injury. It's very risky to fail the dip. But if you go to failure on skull crusher, you don't risk anything because it's not a compound lift and your CNS is less exhausted. So you can add easily more volume, you can add more sets for your triceps without exhausting your CNS. And that's what is very good, to add some isolation. And also, if you are weaker at the top, then it's usually because you are weak at the triceps. But when you are weak at the bottom on the dip, you are weak on the chest. So if you do skull crusher, this can also help you getting stronger at the top part of the dip. The only problem with this accessory exercise to add hypertrophy is because you are not doing the compound movement. You don't do an exercise that is similar to the dips. It is extremely not specific. So you don't train the technique, you don't train the stability, and that's the biggest problem with this accessory exercise. So I just going to still explain other accessory exercise. There is the lateral raises, the chest fly, the dumbbell flies, and the triceps extension. So if you do skull crusher or triceps extension. It's the mechanical tension is a little bit different, but it's the same, so I'm not going to explain this. And if you do chest flies or dumbbell chest flies, then you can add more hypertrophy to your chest. But as I said, the chest need more times to recover than the triceps, and the triceps need a little bit more volume than the chest. So on the chest, if you already did like 5 sets of dips, then adding 3 sets of chest fly, it's just gonna be too much volume, so you won't need it. But on your triceps, it's a muscle that need a little more volume for the hypertrophy and to grow. So it's not a big problem if you add a skull crusher, but if you had chest fly, you will just be more sore on your chest without really more results. So it's a little bit overwork and a little bit stupid, especially if you had pull up the next day and you are sore at the lower chest. So the triceps and the biceps, they recover usually usually quicker than the chest and the lats. And the forearms, they recover even quicker. It's a muscle that you can train them to failure every day, and he can recover in almost in one day. So if you want to do exercise for more hypertrophy on your forearms, this won't make you really stronger in some exercise, but the forearms just recover quicker. So if you do deadlift to failure, your forearm is destroyed. Then you do pull-ups to failure, the next day your forearm is destroyed to failure. And then the next day you do dip, and on the dip you have a lot of pressure in your wrist and your forearms, because let's say you do a 1 rep max, and you have a lot of weight, you never really are very sore on your forearms. So you can really add some exercise for more hypertrophy on your forearms, and this won't make you weaker on the dip. But this won't make you stronger on the dip to have big forearms. But that's why it's easy to combine like hypertrophy for the forearms, hypertrophy for the arms, and combine strength. That's why if you want to do an accessory to add more volume, add more hypertrophy, if you add some skull crusher at the end, it's not bad. But if you add some chest fly, dumbbell chest flies, it's very stupid. Also, if you add some bench press, even if it's a decline bench press for the lower chest, even if in this case it is stupid, so don't do it. Lateral raise, front delt raises, it's stupid because usually your shoulder is not your weak side, and you don't need your middle shoulder. On the dip you don't really need them. So I do lateral raises, but I do them to more hypertrophy, and because I know that the shoulder and the triceps recover quicker than the chest, I add lateral raises, but for more hypertrophy wise, because I want some big shoulders. But you just should know that this won't help you at all on the dip, but this won't be a problem. So if you add this accessory, it won't cause you more fatigue. But if you add some chest fly, you know that it's gonna be more fatigue. So if you want to add an accessory exercise as a backup or in your tertiary session to get stronger on the dip, the very important thing that you need to remember is that you need to add an accessory exercise that is specific for the dip and that is minimizing fatigue while maximizing the gains and the specificity. So if you had some banded dips, some skull crusher, you train more the triceps, so it's less fatigue because the tricep recover quicker. And if you are weaker at the top, it is better for you. But if you are weaker at the bottom, then doing one bottom, one normal will cause you more fatigue, but it's a very specific exercise. So what you should remember is try to have an accessory exercise that is the most specific, the most gains, but the lowest CNS exhaustion, the less CNS that it use, and that it cause the less muscle soreness. So you don't want to have CNS soreness, you don't want to have muscle soreness for days, but you want to have the most specific accessory exercise, and an accessory exercise that in the best case can make you stronger in the part of the dip when you are weaker. So if you're weak at the part, then at the top, you do skull crusher, banded dips, and that's also banded dips on dead stop. If you are weak at the bottom, then you do one normal, one half, paused dips. And if by doing dips or dips accessory, you have some pain on the tendons of the triceps, then you can watch the video. You don't understand your body signs to don't have some tendinate injury. And also, if you find something useful in the video, then take action, change your workout split. Not change your workout split every month, but change it because you learn something new. Because if you watch this video and you say to yourself, yeah, I should do this because it's better, but you don't do it, then you just wasted your time. So if you want to have an educational video, you need to take action after the video, because if you don't take action after every educational video, then this just means that this video was advertisement and that you lost your time. So please change workout split. And if something is not clear in the video, you can write me a comment. I will respond anyway. I have the time.